All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to today's explainer, where we are decoding the anatomy of virality. We all see those crazy viral posts pop up on our feeds, right? But what actually catapults a single piece of content to the absolute top of the global attention economy? Today, we're tearing down the raw data, looking at reactions from top-tier internet creators, and figuring out exactly what it takes to completely break the algorithm.
And to really set the stage for what we're dealing with today, look at this number, 2.2 billion. We aren't just talking about a couple million casual views here. We are exploring the absolute peak of digital attention, capping out at a staggering 2.2 billion views. Just pause for a second and let that sink in. That is literally more than a quarter of the entire global population looking at one single bite-sized piece of media. It totally redefines what we even consider a large audience.
It's insane. As this quote captures perfectly, that's millions of views. Billions, actually. These numbers are so insanely massive that they actually shock the professional creators and reactors who analyze this data for a living. I mean, when you spend your whole life on these platforms, you kind of get used to seeing big numbers. But making the jump from millions to billions, that fundamentally changes the game. It is a completely different stratosphere of influence. So, how do they do it? Well, that brings us to section 1, the power of simplicity. Now, on one side of the internet, you have these incredibly convoluted, staged life hacks. You know the ones, people doing totally bizarre things like peeling bananas with massive meat cleavers, or removing toilet paper from the roll in just the most ridiculously complicated way possible. But then, on the absolute flip side, you have creator Cobby Lame. His brilliant strategy? A completely effortless 10-second deadpan solution. He just looks at the camera, looks totally exasperated, and solves the problem normally, simply opening a door or peeling a banana. And those 10 seconds, they generate hundreds of millions of views. Unbelievable. It's honestly hilarious to think that everybody would be chopping bananas without this guy. Without his, deeply educational videos, people might literally be out there hacking at fruit with cleavers. By positioning himself as the one sane person in a sea of totally bizarre, over-engineered internet content, he forged a unique connection with millions of viewers, and that propelled him toward becoming the most followed person on the entire platform. The humor just works perfectly because it highlights the sheer absurdity of internet culture.
But hey, if simplicity really isn't your style, there is another path. Let's move into section 2, hacking the watch time.
To understand this strategy, we really have to look at the engine driving these platforms. We're talking about watch time. This is the core algorithmic metric that rewards creators for stretching out the length of a viewer's attention. For example, a surprisingly long video of a 23-hour drawing time-lapse managed to reach 250 million views simply because it successfully kept people watching all the way to the very end just to see the final result. So, how would you creators actually hack this metric? Well, they use a few specific tactics. They range from literally begging viewers with on-screen text to "please watch to the end," to executing those crazy 23-hour drawing time lapses that demand your patience. Or, my personal favorite, creating meta-reactions, where a creator essentially piggybacks off an already existing viral trend to keep you hooked. It is all explicitly designed to squeeze every possible second of attention out of a scrolling viewer. And that actually brings up a huge point. All the meta stuff goes viral. By reacting to a recognizable face, like the Will Smith YouTube Rewind guy, or showing a video of a super weird toilet paper hack before reacting to it with a dog treat, creators prove over and over that leaning into meta content is incredibly lucrative. It leverages familiarity, right? You stick around because you instantly recognize the first part of the video, and you've just got to see how the creator twists it in the second half. Now, this next part brings us into a completely different stratosphere of viewership, section 3, the illusionist's monopoly. Check out this absolutely massive viewership jump here. We take a huge leap from a highly successful 380 million view cute baby video straight into astronomical numbers completely dominated by one creator, Zach King. His wet paint loop hit 659 million, and his Harry Potter broom hit 2.2 billion. Going from the upper hundreds of millions into the billions is a barrier that very, very few ever cross. And looking at this data, it is crystal clear that it requires a very specific type of content. The reality is, the top of the list requires phenomenal, mind-bending, high-quality content. Literally, nothing gets a billion views unless it genuinely hurts your brain to watch. Even platform veterans who consume thousands of videos a week are left scratching their heads asking, wait, how did he do that? You see, you can't just stumble into a billion views with a camera phone and a cute pet. It requires meticulous, phenomenal execution. For instance, let's break down Zach King's 659 million view wet paint video. It reveals an absolute masterclass in trickery and structural design. He executes a very clever sequence. Step 1, he steps directly into wet paint. Step 2, he points to the wet paint sign. And then crucially, step 3, the video is edited into an endless, seamless loop. You finish the video without even realizing it's over, and it immediately starts again, naturally flowing the end action right back into the beginning. This literally forces the audience to watch it multiple times just to comprehend what they just saw, automatically multiplying that watch time and view count. In fact, King basically acts as a monopolist at the very top of this dataset. He holds the 1 billion view spot with his everything is cake glass illusion, then the 1.1 billion spot with a mind-bending game of ultimate hide-and-seek, and of course, the absolute crowning achievement, a 2.2 billion view video featuring a Harry Potter broomstick illusion that turns out to just be a skateboard and a mirror. He's systematically engineered his way to the top with these painstakingly crafted visual illusions that absolutely demand repeat viewings. Okay, so what can we actually learn from this wild spectrum of content? Let's get into section 4, the ultimate viral formula. As it turns out, the ultimate viral formula is this bizarre duality. There isn't just one single path to the top. The biggest rewards on the internet go to the extreme ends of the spectrum. You've got the low-effort relatability of Khaby Lame's 10-second, beautifully exasperated reaction to a banana. And on the flip side, the high-effort illusions of Zach King's Hollywood-level visual effect loops. The middle ground is incredibly crowded, but true billion-view hyper-virality? And yet, just to prove that the algorithm still has a massive sense of unpredictability, we have anomalies, like James Charles randomly securing the #2 spot with 1.7 billion views. It was just a simple transition video by the beauty creator, and it somehow wedged itself comfortably right between Zach King's billion-view masterpieces. Sometimes, despite all the meticulous planning, the hacking, and the producing, a piece of content simply catches the wind of the cultural zeitgeist in a way that completely defies logic. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to ponder about our digital attention spans. Based on the absolutely incredible numbers we've explored today, does true virality ultimately require the human connection of a 10-second reaction or the technical perfection of a billion-view illusion? Think about what actually makes you stop scrolling next time you're on your phone. And, you might just have your answer. Thanks so much for diving into this with me today.